Well, hi guys. I'm here to give you my views on the KS18S. I've been able to ride this quite a bit over the last month. It's not my wheel. I did a swap with Matt, aka Sketch, on the forums. I gave him my Gotway M Super V3S Plus, a 1600 watt hour version. He gave me his 1680 watt hour version of the 18S, and so we could give him a good workout. And I've put about 130 miles on this. If you're viewing this on my YouTube channel, do a search or just look at the playlist for my KS18S videos, and you'll see quite a few videos I made. Probably the most interesting one, if you're looking to consider purchasing this wheel, is the stress test that I did, mountain stress test, and really put it through its paces. And I have some commentary along the way during the video and at the end, which you'll probably find very interesting. Now, first, I have to say I really enjoyed riding this wheel, getting to know it. I didn't ride the S model before, but I've ridden the previous 18, Kingsong 18 wheel. So I had a little experience with it, but I probably rode those previous ones for less than a mile. But here I got to use it like it was my own wheel, which is great. If you have the opportunity to swap wheels with a friend in your area, take advantage of it, because you can really see what you like and don't like about the wheel. So let's see. It's gonna have a hard time putting all this into words. The wheel definitely takes adjusting to get used to it. So in front of me I have some of my wheels. I have a few more, and this is the only wheel that I've ever had difficulty adjusting to. All the other wheels, even wheels that I don't own but I've tried other people's wheels, you get on them and maybe you feel a little, it takes a minute or two to settle into the wheel. Not this guy. When I first rode it for a group ride, when we swapped the wheels, it was like a 30 mile ride. At the very beginning I felt like I was a newbie. I mean, I was wobbly on the wheel, turning was really awkward. It really hurt my side of my knees for the whole ride, and had some bruises the next day. That's typical new wheel syndrome, that pretty much every wheel hits your legs in a different spot. But this guy really took a while to adjust to. All the other wheels, you hop on them and within a minute or two it feels great and you're riding. It took many miles and hours to get adjusted to this. I will say, once I did get adjusted to it, beautiful wheel. It handles great. You can, you got to work on it, but you can turn on a dime. I mean, it's very maneuverable. But the problem is, it's like I have a love-hate relationship with this wheel, particularly the height of the wheel, which makes it hard to adjust getting used to it. I rode the hell out of this wheel. I really became one with the wheel. I could ride this beautifully. I took a week off from riding it just to give some other wheels that were begging for attention. Took a week off. I came back. I got on the wheel, and immediately I felt awkward again. Turning, doing tight turns, like a simple 180, was wobbly and awkward, and again, it took, you know, maybe an hour to warm up to it. Certainly didn't take as long as before, and it didn't hurt my legs, but it's not natural. So I think certainly if this is only, if you're considering a King Song wheel, the 18 as your primary wheel, I think you would love this wheel. If you again look at the stress test video that I did, this thing, it took everything I could throw at it. It overheated, which I have a specific hill that I can overheat any wheel I take to it, any wheel. Okay. This guy made it up to the top of the hill before it overheated. Very impressive. By the way, the King Song, the new King Song wheels overheat at 80 degrees C, the control board temperature. And again, if you look at that video, I show you what happens when it overheats. But yeah, I took it up the steepest hills I have access to, and it climbed those hills beautifully. And again, at that point, I was really tuned into this wheel, and it rode beautifully. So if you're considering this for a primary wheel, you want to avoid the Gotway wheels. I am a pretty big Gotway fan, but I understand their quality control issues. So if you want to avoid that mess and go with a probably more robust, more, you know, quality-oriented wheel, go with the King Song. It's a great wheel, but as your primary wheel, I think if you have multiple wheels and you don't envision using this a lot, I suspect you might be disappointed with it, because probably every time you're going to get on it, it'll be like me, and get on it and it feels awkward and it's not comfortable. You know, and that's not what I want with a wheel. I want to get on the wheel and just have fun. So if I kept this wheel, which I'm not, giving it back to Matt tomorrow, if I kept this wheel, I probably, you know, when it comes time to go outside and pick a wheel to ride, and I have a few more wheels to choose from, I would probably end up avoiding this wheel a lot. I'd pick other wheels, you know, which is sad to say. But again, if it's your primary wheel, I have nothing bad to say about this wheel. It kicks butt. It's a fantastic wheel. Okay, so pedals are typical King Song pedals. Now I notice I have a 14S, and the pedals on 14S I think they're the same, but the 14S, which I'm assuming it must be a slightly newer wheel, has these extra little rubber, kind of rubber foam little attachment points here. They seem to be wearing pretty good, but they grab your foot even better. The 18S does not have that for some reason. But they're great pedals, very comfortable. I can ride literally 40 miles on this wheel with barely a brake. Feet did fine. Does not have much padding up here, which isn't really a factor for comfort-wise. Again, once you get adjusted to this wheel, it's a great wheel, very comfortable. I love carving. I love carving when I ride, you know, trails and straight line riding. This is a real fun wheel to carve on, better than your smaller wheels, because it just hugs your legs, hug it, and just support it better, and it just feels really comfortable. But for going up hills, steep inclines, I think the lack of padding is a disadvantage, because for me, my legs would slip. So as I'm riding and trying to go uphill, at that point I'm trying to squeeze the wheel so I can drive it forward, and this is really not soft much. Like my M Super has thicker pads, and you're able to squeeze into it and kind of get a better grip on the wheel, and not on this guy. So again, you can climb, as I demonstrated in the stress test. You can do anything on this wheel, but that doesn't mean it's the most comfortable to do everything on this wheel. This is in my mind, a great cruising wheel. If I own this, I wouldn't take it up in the mountains very often. I'd use it to just cruise. You know, if you got a 20-mile ride down a trail, great wheel, and you don't need to be squeezing the wheel in that case. The seat cushion works. I did ride this wheel for a few miles seated, but I guess I'm not a big advocate of sitting on the wheels when I ride it. It's certainly doable, and people ride these wheels all the time seating, so I think that's just a personal thing. To me, the seat felt pretty comfortable. I rode it for a few miles that way. It has your this is kind of more old school King Song with the bar graph. To be honest, I never looked at that. I use my phone app, and I have a Pebble watch, so I just glance at the watch, and that tells me the power level. So yeah, I don't use that. The headlight seems typical King Song, brighter than your typical Gotway wheel, except the new Gotway wheels outshine any wheel in existence. So that's probably the route that everyone's going to be going pretty soon. The speakers on the wheel, I did ride the wheel for a while, playing some music through it, and I don't know, it didn't impress me. It seemed a little muffled, the quality of the sound coming from here. I think if I was really play music, I'd stick with my Bluetooth external speaker that strapped to the wheel. I think my KS18S, strangely, actually sounds better music coming out of that than this. I don't know why that's the case. So I want to talk a little bit about range. So I did a range test a couple days ago, and my range, I got 42 miles on this. I took it down to literally about 1% battery. That wasn't my intention, but it didn't have the range that I was anticipating, so the route that I picked was such that I barely made it home. But again, I was kind of disappointed in the range. This is a 1680 watt-hour version of the KS18. I just assumed it would be getting close to what I get on my M Super, which is about 55 miles. 55 miles of mixed riding, fairly fast. The ride I took it on had about, well, again, and if you look at the forum, I posted some charts which show the elevation angle and the elevation gains that I made. It's not flat ground. I think I went up almost 400 feet total. It's like a loop, so it's kind of like there and back type thing. But yeah, 42 miles, and I repeated the range test with my ACM, 1300 watt-hour ACM. When I concluded, and at that I had 25% battery on the ACM. So some debate on the forum what that means. Some people suggested that maybe there's an issue with one of the batteries. This has 3 battery packs inside, so maybe I don't have access to all the battery capacity. I don't know. I just have my doubts, but it's so hard to compare range values because everyone rides differently. We ride different speeds. If you're riding flat with no wind, you're going to get a different range versus if you're riding some hilly conditions against the wind, if you ride fast, slow. All I can say is I got 42 miles on this, and I guess that's what it is. I'm not going to be doing any more range testing with it, and if you go to the forum, you can follow some probably ongoing discussion about this. So I would be disappointed if this were my wheel. I would probably investigate more to find out if I do have a battery issue. Somehow I just have my doubts there's an issue with the batteries. Because I like, this is a beautiful cruising wheel, and you want to cruise. So you know, I like long distance wheels now. So I like to have a wheel that can go a solid 45 miles without thinking about it, or more. That's what I can do with my M Super, my Monster. I can go 65 miles in this without thinking. I mean, I can cruise as fast as I want, 65 miles. And yeah, so I definitely wish it had more capacity. Odd thing is my 14S 840 watt-hour battery, I got over 40 miles on it. I can't remember exactly. It might have been 43 miles on this, which really even surprised me. Definitely better than my previous. I had a 14C, and that didn't get that kind of mileage. So this 14S is a killer wheel. Really impressed with everything about this. I'll do a separate review on this wheel. Now I want to do a real quick, take a quick look at the difference in height between the Monster and the 18S. So the 18S, it's actually taller than the Monster, which is a big wheel. Now here's the thing, on the Monster, which is a big thick wheel, the pads hit me about here. So even though it's a big wheel, I don't have the issues in terms of comfort or not comfort, but awkwardness. When I get on, I'm saying when I get on the 18S, it feels awkward when you turn, wobbly, you know, it takes a while to adjust to it. I never had that issue with the Monster. It turns very, you know, I can get on it after not riding for weeks, and everything's smooth. I think again because it's hitting you lower. When I get on the 18S, it's hitting me up here. It hits you, for me, I'm 5'11". It's hitting me right at the bottom of the knee. So it has a much higher, I don't know if it's really a center of gravity, but it feels like a really tall wheel. Even though it's more or less the same height as the Monster. So anyway, I thought some of you might find that interesting. So in summary, I think the KS18S is a superb wheel. It really exudes quality. It's a beautiful performing wheel. By the way, it's very fast. I forgot to mention. I no problem. I'm not a super fast rider, but it's not fully unlocked, but it can go up to 25. I had a 25 briefly. I was typically riding it maxing about 22 miles per hour. It does feel like it takes a little more lean to get this to go at those high speeds versus my M Super, but I contribute that because that M Super is an 84 volt wheel, and they just have more. The 84 volt wheels just have more power. There's no getting around that. But this is a fast wheel. You know, someone like me that typically rides sub 20 miles, you know, I ride, when I'm riding fast, it's between 18 and 20, 21 miles an hour, maybe every once in a while getting up 22, 23 maybe. That's my speed range, and this handles that beautifully. Great cruising wheel, I think. I think it can handle anything you do throw at it, but it's clearly not a super agile wheel, even though you can turn on a dime if you need to. It just takes a lot of work to do so. So I think if you have multiple wheels and you're looking for an 18-inch wheel to round out your collection, but it's not going to be your primary wheel, I suspect you might be disappointed in this because of what I talked about before, having this long adjustment period every time you climb on it, unless you're riding it all the time. But if this is going to be your primary wheel, buy it. It's a great wheel. Like I said at the end of my stress test, it's a hell of a wheel, and I'd have absolutely no qualms about owning this as my primary wheel if I went that route. All right, guys. Well, hope this was somewhat useful. Talk to you later.